Let's add vectors that are perpendicular to one another. Means to say that these vectors create 90-degree angle to one another. Example, we have vector A that has a magnitude of 300 newtons east, while we have vector B with a magnitude of 500 newtons north. Let's draw these two vectors. Have vector A 300 newtons east, and also we have vector B. Vector B is 500 newtons north. Now let's add the vectors. As you can see here, the tail of the second vector is connected to the tail of the first vector. In graphical method, this is called parallelogram method. To continue our parallelogram method, we draw broken lines touching the tip of one vector and is parallel to the other vector. Now, we could trace a parallelogram. In this case, it is actually a rectangle. Now, let's draw the diagonal of that parallelogram that represents the resultant vector R. The red broken line now represents our resultant vector R. Now, using the tip-to-tail method or the polygon method, we could do it like this. We have vector A that is 3 units going to the east direction, and we also have vector B 500 newtons to the north direction. This time, using the tip-tail method, the tip of the first vector is connected to the tail of the second vector. Now, we draw the resultant vector. The resultant vector is the arrow starting from the origin or the tail of the first vector and extends up to the tip of the second vector. As you can see, we have the same resultants on the two methods that we use. Also, we had created a three-sided polygon, which is a triangle. Another one is the triangle is a right triangle because we have two vectors that are perpendicular to one another. Two vectors create 90 degrees with respect to one another. Now, from this, since the triangle is a right triangle and the resultant is the longest side or longest leg of a triangle, then this is considered to be the hypotenuse. And we could apply Pythagorean theorem, wherein c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared, or the length of the hypotenuse is equal to the square root of the sum of a squared plus b squared. Using the Pythagorean theorem now, we could get the value of our resultant vector r, which is also the hypotenuse of the triangle. So here we could substitute r is equal to the square root of a squared plus b squared. R is equal to the square root of a 300 newtons squared plus b 500 newtons squared. R now equals the square root of 300 squared is 90,000 newton squared plus 500 squared is 250,000 newton squared. You add that one, this will give us a value of r equals the square root of 340,000 newtons squared. Let's subtract the square root of 340,000 newtons, and that is r is equivalent to 583 newtons. The magnitude therefore of r is 583 newtons. Let's get the angle that the resultant creates with respect to the x-axis, and that is our theta x. Now, to get theta x, we could use tangent theta is equal to the opposite side over adjacent side. Now, with this theta, the opposite side of the triangle is the side facing the angle. So the opposite side is B, vector B, while the adjacent side is vector A. So we have now tangent theta x is equal to opposite side over the adjacent side, wherein we have tangent theta x is equal to opposite side 500 newtons divided by 300 newtons, and we could cancel the unit newtons. Now we have 500 newtons divided by 300 newtons, and that is equivalent to 1.67. Tangent theta x equals 1.67. Theta x is equal to the arctangent of 1.67. In your calculator,